Okay, folks, got some questions about the Tall Stool project and the component furniture assignment for SketchUp. So we're going to try and walk through this pretty quickly here. Going to start a new drawing, save to SketchUp, go down here and type in the file name 7 short tall stool underscore more to more save. Okay, delete Helen. Now we're going to start by drawing the legs of the stool. As you can see in the information, it's a square leg that's an inch and a quarter square. We're going to start by drawing a square, 1.25 comma 1.25. Look, we drew a tiny little square down there. We're going to zoom down there. We're going to pull it. We'll make it 29 inches tall. Let's see. The stool total height is 29 inches tall, and the top is 1 inch 6. So we're going to make the leg 28 inches tall. Okay, made a leg there. Now, one of the cool things about SketchUp is that it does things not normal, but it's a little weird. So it says over here that the legs are total height. It's a 13-inch square at the bottom and a 8-inch square at the top. So if we subtract 8 from 13, we get 5, and we divide that by 2, we get 2.5. Now, bear with me for a minute. What that means is we need the top of this leg right here to be 2.5 inches in. So we're going to measure over. We're just going to draw a line, 2.5 inches. And then we're going to draw a line on the red axis, 2.5 inches. So what I've done is moved over and in 2.5 inches. Okay. Now we're going to click out of that. We're going to select just this top rectangle. Notice we didn't make the leg a group yet. And we're going to move that that rectangle, from this outside corner to that outside corner. Notice these two lines did some weird stuff, but that's okay. So we don't really need them anymore. They were just there. They were just placeholders there to help us locate where that was. So now what we've got is a leg that's sitting at an angle in two different axes. Okay, so that's the leg of our stool at the cute little angle that it's supposed to be. Okay, now that we've got that created, we're going to double click it, triple click it, and make it a group. Okay, so that's now a thing. Now we need more than one leg, right? We've already drawn one, so all we need to do is copy it. So I'm going to start here at the outside corner, and we know that they're 13 inches apart at the bottom. So we're going to start moving it. I'm going to hit the Option key to duplicate it, and I'm going to type in 13 inches to move it 13 inches. Now notice they're still both going at the same angle. We need them to be pointed toward each other. Well, that's easy enough to rotate. We're going to pick the rotate command. We're going to pick that same outside corner. We're going to hit our arrow keys until we get our protractor on the correct plane, and then we're going to click it to capture it, and we're going to turn it 90 degrees. Notice we've turned it to the 90-degree axis, green axis. So now we've got two legs next to each other. The other part of this that we need are the stretchers. And that gets pretty complicated because they're at an angle and they're not in the same plane and all that stuff and everything else. I'm going to go ahead and draw the stretchers now before I start copying the rest of my legs. And then that way, when I copy the legs, I can simply copy the stretchers at the same time. Okay? So I found that this was a pretty good way to do this. I'm going to pick the line command, go down here to the midpoint in the bottom of the leg. I'm going to start dragging it up, and you'll notice, well, nope, there's a pink one. We don't like that one. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. You can get it to be parallel. It'll give you a pink line showing that you're parallel to that line. Oh, there it was, right there. So now I'm parallel to the edge, okay? But I want to draw the line a specific length because I want the stretcher to be at a specific height. And in this case, I'm going to choose 9 inches. So I'm just going to type the number 9 and hit return. And you'll notice that it drew a 9-inch leg or 9-inch line for me. I want the second stretcher to be 9 inches up as well. So I'm going to just continue doing what I was doing. Notice that the pink line indicates that I'm parallel to the edge and flush on that face. And I'm going to type in another 9. And that's going to put my first stretcher at 9 inches and my second stretcher at 18 inches. Okay, so there we've drawn 2 lines. They look like 1 line, but they're actually 2 lines. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing my stretcher. Now in the information it says the stretcher is a 5/8 inch diameter rod. I'm just going to draw a 5/8 inch circle. What SketchUp is looking for, I jumped ahead. I'm going to pick the correct axis, the red axis. I'm going to click somewhere randomly. What SketchUp is looking for is a radius. So a radius, in the instructions it says 5/8 inch diameter. So we need to divide 5/8 by 2 to get the radius, and so that gives us 5/16 of an inch. 5/1/6 5/16, enter. Look, we drew a 5/8 inch diameter circle. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the circle. Notice I haven't made it a group yet. I'm going to select the circle and the plane that's there, and I'm going to move it from the center point. Notice how it gave me the center. Zoom back out and around here. I'm going to find that spot. Look, there's my end point, and I'm going to move it right to there. Now you'll notice that part of it disappeared because part of it is in the leg, but part of it is above the leg. If I look here closely, if I zoom around carefully, you can see very carefully that there's a little tiny gap right there. Okay, we'll talk about that in just a minute. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it and I'm going to pull it, and I'm going to make the stretcher. And notice that it's just going to go right through that leg. Well, I don't want it to go all the way through the leg, so I don't want it to stick out, but I don't really care as long as I can't see the end of it inside that leg. So now I've made the stretcher. Now I'm going to triple click it to make it a group. Okay, now I've made it a group. And now I've got that little gap back there that we talked about, right? So now I'm just going to grab the whole thing. I'm just going to move it just a little bit. And so that way, whenever we deselect it, there's not a little gap right there anymore. It just disappears straight into the leg. Okay? Now the next thing I'm going to do is this gets a little complicated. I'm going to move this. Wait, I lied. I'm going to select the stretcher because now we need another one, right? We need one here and one above it. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to move it. And I'm just going to start moving it. Click the Option key, so I've copied it. I'm just going to throw it out here in the wind somewhere. And this is where it gets a little complicated. I'm going to go back around, and I'm going to find the center of the end. Okay? That's what I've got gripped on. I'm going to keep zooming around until I find that end. Tell me if you get dizzy. And I'm going to put it right there. And notice I have the same problem that I had before. There's a tiny little gap right there. Oopsie, about got lost. And then I'm going to also move it so it just disappears into the end. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. Oh, look, it hid. You can't see any of it. So there I've got, if I deselect this, I've got 2 legs and 2 stretchers and these extra lines. So I'm going to select that line and delete it. Select that line and delete it. And boom, I have drawn half of my legs and 1/4 of my stretchers. So the next trick I'm going to do is I'm going to select the stretcher. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can easily use a crossing window. Notice it's got dashed lines where I've got everything, those 2 stretchers in that leg within that window, and it selects all 3 of those things. The other way to do it is to click one thing, hold down the Shift key, and select the other items that you want to copy. Okay, so I've got those 3 items selected. I'm going to go back and pick my Move tool. I'm going to grab that corner. I'm going to move it along the green axis. I'm going to hit Option, and then I'm going to type in 13 because that's how many inches away we know that corner of that leg needs to be. Now we're going to rotate it. Select the Rotate tool, select that outside corner, or hover over that outside corner. Poke the buttons until you get to the correct protractor for the correct plane. Pick a thing, turn it 90 degrees. Bam, we've done the second thing. Now we're going to go back and pick our Move tool. And we're going to zoom around over here. Oh, lost it a little bit. There we go. Pick that outside corner. I'm going to move it over here 13 inches. Oops, did it wrong. Control Z, undo, move, Option, 13, return. And then I'm gonna, oh, hey, what's that doing sticking out there? Control Z, escape, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. That's not supposed to be sticking out. So now I need to modify this leg. I'm gonna, the stretcher, I'm gonna double click it to get it in the edit mode because it's an object. I don't know if you caught that or not. If you have something that's an object and you need to edit it, you can't just start editing away on it. I'm going to show you what this means. If I grab the push-pull tool, it says, nope, you can't do that. So I need to pick the select tool, double click it, and that will get me into the edit mode. And then I can pick the push-pull tool, and I can just push that in and make it disappear. Okay? Notice that I'm still in the edit mode because of these dotted lines here. So I'm going to select something other than that, and that's going to deselect it. So now we're going to move copy our things. We're going to select these 3 items. Click the move tool. We're going to start moving it. Oh, come on. Sometimes the zooming can be kind of an interesting thrill. Okay, we're going to move this along the green axis. We're going to hit the Option key to copy it. Now we're going to type in the distance, 13 inches. Now we're going to rotate it. Pick the rotate tool. Hover. Poke the buttons until we get to the correct plane. From the green axis to the red axis. Then we're going to move it again. Nope, wrong tool. Move. Option. Red axis, 13 inches. We're going to go back to the rotate. One of the other things, you can pick the proper protractor. Once I've done this, I can click that and I start turning it. I can type in the angle I want it to move, 90 degrees. Bam. Okay, the only thing I haven't copied here is the extra stretchers. And so what we're going to do is a little bit interesting. Oh, how am I going to do that? Okay, here's what we're going to deselect this. We're going to select just these 2 stretchers. Shift, select. We're going to copy them by move. We're going to do the same trick. We're going to move them, Option, 13 inches. Notice that they're outside the bounds over here. Okay, but we're still following along the same footsteps that we did before. We're going to click rotate from this point down here, which is the same point that we used on all the other things. We're going to swing it out there. We're going to rotate that 90 degrees. And bam, it put those stretchers right in the exact same place. So there you go. That's all the hard part of the stool. The next part is the top, which is the easiest part. It says that it's 12.5 inches in diameter and 1 inch thick. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line from the inside of one of these legs to the inside of the other leg, and that drew a diagonal across there. So now the center of this is, the center of the top of the stool is right there in the midpoint of that line. So we're going to go over here and pick the circle tool. Start drawing a circle. It says 12.5 inches in diameter. We know SketchUp wants a radius, so we're going to type in 6.25, which is 6.25 inches. Hit return. Bam, we've started our top. We're going to pick the select tool because we just used this line to help us locate where the top needed to be. So now I'm going to delete that line, and then I'm going to grab the push-pull tool, and I'm going to push it up and type in the thickness 1 inch, and bam, we have at the top. One final step, triple click it, make that a group. So that makes it into stuff. If you want to get really fancy, and you notice in the picture that the edge of this top has has a radius to it. It has a curved edge to it. It's not just square. So if you want to take the face another challenge of making a rounded edge on that, I strongly encourage you to do that. It's probably a little trickier than you might think it would be, but it is possible. But I'm not going to go into it right now. So we've got our stool made there. We're going to show you my bad zooming skills. There's the stool. We're going to click the save button. And from there, you're going to go on to download it and submit it to Canvas. Holler if you have any questions. Good luck out there.